Many thanks for staying here on Joy News today. Now let's go back to the Eastern region. My colleague Kofi Siang, he is following the president who is on a tour in that region. Hello Kofi, now what can you report on the president's campaign so far today?
Well, the president currently just finished addressing a mini rally in Pantiapa North, a town called Ahuma. So there he met with the party members in that constituency. And he has been telling them to vote massively for the NDC because if you look at the developmental projects that are taking place in the area, majority or almost all of them were undertaken or executed by the NDC when they were in power. So currently, the president is before them, and they all know that come 7 December, he is contesting for an election. They have no option but to consider to vote for him in the polls. That is what President Mohammed has been telling the people of the area. Again, he talks about the fact that there are about 3 major roads in the area. He says, as part of the phase 2 exercise of the proposed syndicated roads, he is going to ensure that all those roads that I have mentioned, the 3 of them, will be executed so that passengers who fly that road will have easy access to the towns that they are visiting. So the president has finished with the campaign or the mini rally held there, and he's moving to Kwao Fodua as I speak. There he's going to commission one of the community day senior high schools in the Eastern region. That will be the 3rd one the president is commissioning this year.
All right, and Kofi, now we know that the wife of the running mate of the NPP, Samira Baumia, she's in the Eastern region, and we know that she has visited some constituencies the president has already visited, and she's visited some that he will visit later on. How is the president's team reacting to this particular development?
Well, they just heard about Samira Baumia in Eastern region. They hadn't heard of it until just this morning around 11 when somebody told them that Dr. Baumia's wife is in the Eastern region and that she's going to KT and places where the president had already visited. But they are not surprised at all because they think this is a political season and everyone has a right to move to wherever he wants to.
Thank you very much, Kofi Siang. That's my colleague, Kofi Siang, following the president in the Eastern region, giving us some updates. Now, let's still stay with the governing NDC, who say they will arrest and prosecute former Energy Minister and MP, former Deputy Energy Minister and MP for Adansi Asokwa, KT Hammond, in his role in the sale of Ghana's drill ship as soon as he loses his parliamentary seat in the elections this year. Now, a government white paper on a report presented by the Judgement Commission directed Yoko to get Mr. Hammond to account for the difference of $900,000 which went untraced following the sale of the drill ship for $24 million to defray a $19.5 million debt owed the SG Bank. Now, the latter has since sued government to prevent Yoko's investigations. But speaking at the launch of an outreach program for the Volta caucus nationwide at Fumso in the Ashanti region, General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, dropped hint government is waiting for Mr. Hammond to lose his seat to face arrest and prosecution. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko reports.
It was a gathering of Voltarians from various parts of Ghana to inaugurate a special door-to-door campaign to increase the gains of the NDC in settler communities in the Ashanti region, held in KT Hammond's constituency, Adansi Asokwa. Speakers, including General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, dwelled on increasing the votes of the president and removing the sitting MP. He told the Adansi Asokwa MP the drill ship saga will be revisited once he loses his seat this year.
KT Hammond, retirement. Okodu retirement. parliament no more. Ansana ne obeto no. We are friends say o mechire baby address no.
KT Hammond is going on retirement, and before he gets his peace, we'll arrest him and ask him to show us where the drill ship is. He should not be comfortable with the immunity he's enjoying as an MP.
I feel way there, over free parliament, or free warriors, Yachino say, drill ship no.
Deputy Regional Minister Andy Okra assured supporters of the NDC in settler communities any attempt to intimidate them will be quelled by the use of the security agencies.
Security is in charge. We are in charge of our security here. Nobody should prevent you or just push you to the wall that don't come and vote. Come out and vote. Nobody will do anything to you. We'll make sure that you have enough security to come out. President Mohammed
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Love FM, Kumasi.
It's a political season, so still on election-related matters, flag bearer of the APC, Hassan Ayariga, has blamed the National Commission for Civic Education for his disqualification by the Electoral Commission. The disqualified nominee was in court for day one of his suit, challenging his disqualification by the EC. Now, the court, presided over by Justice Barbara Tete-Chawe, today ordered the EC and the APC to present their written arguments by Friday, October 28, after which they will make oral arguments on Monday, October 31. Joy News' Joseph Akable was in court and joins me in studio now. Many thanks for joining us here, Joseph. First of all, tell us why the APC's Hassan Ayariga is blaming the NCCE for his disqualification. Really, what has the NCCE got to do with that?
So let's first understand why he was disqualified. Now, the Electoral Commission is saying that he didn't state his residential address. Apart from that, to some of his subscribers, in fact, two of them, apart from subscribing for him, also signed that of Dr. Edward Mohammed of the PNC. Now, the point Mr. Hassan Ayariga is making is that the NCC as a body, and in fact, he made a point that that is the body that the current EC chair, Madam Charlotte said, formerly was the chairman for, and that body is supposed to educate Ghanaians about their rights, their duties, and what is expected of them. Now, he is saying that if they had carried out that education effectively, citizens would have been aware that they are not supposed to sign for the nomination form of more than one candidate, and in that case, he wouldn't have been disqualified.
Right, very interesting. But apart from that, what else transpired in court today?
It was quite a brief hearing today, and the point that the judge is making is that he wants the matter to be dealt with quickly. The Chief Justice has already served notice that the matter needs to be put to rest to ensure that we vote in time. Now, contrary to what was done in the PPP case where the lawyer for the EC requested that the matter be heard early, in this case, the judge on her own decided that instead of waiting ordinarily for 2 weeks, she has fixed Monday as a day to hear the arguments. So she has directed that on Friday they should present their written arguments and move the motion in court on Monday to ensure they put the matter to rest quickly.
What are the two parties? What is the reaction, considering that the dates are quite close and they have to file their written argument and make an oral submission next week, Monday? What have you been speaking to them, and what are their reactions really?
For the EC's lawyer, Thaddeus Sorry, they are, we know for a fact that the EC is faced with a litany of legal issues, quite a number of them. So it's very positive for them. They want the matter to be dealt with quickly. For Hassan Ayariga's legal team, his lawyer Maxwell Logan makes the point that they can't wait to make their case in court. They feel their candidate has been wrongfully disqualified, and they can't wait to have their day in court.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for those updates. Now let's move to Parliament. The Deputy Minister nominee for Local Government and Rural Development, John Otibless, has been approved by Parliament. Well, for the details, my colleague Elton Brobe joins me via the telephone with more. Hello, Elton.
Hi, Benny.
Right. Tell us how the House went about, in approving John Otibless for the deputy ministerial position.
Well, the approval in itself lasted less than 10 seconds because what was left was only for the question to be put for the House to approve of it. Because the motion itself, the original motion by the Appointments Committee, was moved in Parliament in July, and members debated it together with John Otibless' nomination, together with Emmanuel Bombande for the Deputy Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Deputy Eastern Regional Minister. Now, the reason Otibless was not approved then was that some members raised issues about his conduct, some comments he made about the Chief Justice, and some issues that had to do with his academic certificates and his change of name. So these issues could not allow the House to put the question for his approval. And I must point out that since Parliament reconvened, there has been several attempts by the majority side to get this particular matter through, but they were always not successful until this morning when the House convened, and that was the first agenda. Indeed, when the Deputy Majority Chief Whip moved that the House consider that particular motion, the Speaker, because what is left really was that the Speaker should put the question, and that's exactly what he did. There was no counter motion on the floor from the minority side, and it went through just like that. Within 10 seconds, everything was done.
Now, was Oti Bless himself in Parliament, and what was his reaction to this particular development?
Here, at the moment. Yesterday I saw him, but today he's not here. And maybe now what is left is for the president to, swear him in and then give him the license, if you like, to go and start his work as a deputy local government minister. But in Parliament today, he's not here. He has been coming, and we don't know why. But what I've been told is that since the first approval was abandoned, there's been several consultations between the minority and the majority on this particular subject. Also, important to point out is that the nominee himself read an apology on the floor of Parliament in July when the matter came before the House. So all these were considered, and I'm sure that paved the way for the Speaker to put the question. And because there was no counter motion arresting that particular, provision,
now
the House has approved of it.
Now, Elton, is there an impression that there was no counter motion because we've got barely, 2 months to get to the elections, and so the minority didn't really want to oppose this?
I'm sure because they have had consultation among themselves, they came to the understanding that they should allow the man to go through. Because on Monday, the minority's position was that if the House, if the House wanted to move through this particular issue, they were going to insist that they allow it to go through secret voting. That is, voting secretly to approve or disapprove of his nomination. So the Speaker directed the two leaders to go into consultation to come to a decision on the particular matter.
Right. Thank you very much for those updates, Elton. We'll have to end it here. But away from Parliament, Transport Minister Fifi Kwete is hopeful that ferry operations along the Volta Lake could reduce fatalities which have characterized lake transport in recent times. Now, he says some private boat operators who ignored safety precautions have contributed to the loss of lives. He assured that the provision of 2 additional ferries from Senchi to Yeji and Dambai will largely reduce the incidence of fatalities on the Volta Lake.
The Minister made these remarks after inspecting work on the ferries MV Senchi and MV Akrade, which are being dismantled to be reassembled at Akosombo before continuing to their respective destinations. Dismantling of the ferries has become necessary due to the Akosombo Dam, which will make passage to Yeji and Dambai impossible. Though this is long in coming, Fifi Kwete maintains it will help solve several challenges facing communities along the lake. Joy News in July reported on the sorry state of 14 million euros worth of ferries which were at the mercy of the weather at Senchi. The Transport Ministry later, through procurement process, saw Seaworld Engineering Limited, a local company, emerge among its international competitors to undertake the 8.7 million Ghana cedi contract of dismantling and reassembling. According to Fifi Kwete, one of the ferries will be operational in the coming weeks between Yeji and Makango.
We are happy today that we can actually be here with the media in order to inspect exactly what they've done. I'm quite impressed that a job that's supposed to have taken a minimum of 2 weeks, they've been able to, as it were, do quite a bit of it within 6 days, and now about to literally move the equipment in commuters along the lake, especially the 2 places where these 2 ferries were supposed to go. The first one that will be done will be going to, will ply between Yeji and Makango, and so therefore those communities, we want to tell them that hope is on the way, and hopefully within the next 1 month, everything being equal, we should be in a position to make sure that the job is completed in order for them to have access to it. The second one, which will be the Senchi one, once it's done, would actually ferry move between Dambai and Dabai Overbank. So those communities as well can start having a smile, knowing that very soon their difficulties are going to be a thing of the past.
Meanwhile, contractor for the project, Alexander Mangote, is suggesting that the ferries be fumigated quarterly as mice have destroyed some important cables in the ferries. He revealed that the ferries can last for about 25 years if regular maintenance is ensured.
When we started investigating, dismantling, and then we saw this. So quickly, we have to, notify our bosses concerning, because the cables are said that we cannot cut and join. We have to change the whole thing. Luckily, it affected only 2 cabling, and we are working on that to get those things fixed as soon as possible. In future, what we do is try to inform our people to stop or minimize the eating habit on the ferry, and also every 3 months we recommend that the ferry is fumigated.
The ferries will be managed by Volta Lake Transport Company. Acting Director of the VLTC, Kenneth Apiapong, assured that his outfit is ready to operate the ferries.
All the ferries we have been acquired since then, and we've been keeping them. So our maintenance expertise is good, and we are going to do the same. Indeed, now we know we even have to cherish whatever we get, even much more.
Volta Lake Transport Company, with its close to 5 decades of existence, says the ferries are in the safest pair of hands. A report by Kwame Yanka for Joy News.
And in business, former VRA boss Kweku Awotri is asking government to settle the debt it owes power producers, or the energy situation in the country will worsen.